Ladies and gentlemen, filmmakers and moviegoers alike, welcome to this week's episode of Critically Casual. I'm your host, Three Cups, and joining me as always is the amazing dorky Dev. Say hi, Dev.
Welcome to Critically Casual. I'm your host, Clapdev.
Oh, that's not the voice I was expecting, but I love
No,
it.
it wasn't, but I knew it'd be funnier. You can't go wrong with Claptrap. Or Clapdev, because it's a little bit more like me than it is like Claptrap, because I'm talking more normal than I would for Claptrap. Because if I'm doing Claptrap, it's like, hello, and welcome to Pandora. It's a little poppy right now, I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm hearing that too.
I think it might be the reverb. I don't know what's going on. I'd have to fix it. But, oh well.
Yeah. Hi, Dev.
Welcome to Pandora!
Welcome to Critically Casual. So yeah, hi, it's Critically Casual. I'm your host, Three Cups. That's Dev. Today we're talking about movies. Do you want to talk about anything else before we get into movies?
Because I keep this updated on this podcast. Out of all the podcasts, it's this podcast.
All right, that's totally fine.
I got new Funkos.
Funko Pops.
Have no fear, because I am here. Yeah, we got two new All Mights at work. We have All for One at work too, but I decided to go with All Mights because, like, Teacher All Might is an awesome look, and it leads to one of my favorite moments when he's in the freaking the training,
gym. Yeah.
and he comes out, loosens the tie, gets into fight mode, and Silver Age because that's a classic look. So one of these is probably gonna hang out in the living room. I'm thinking it's gonna be Silver Age, because I'm gonna have a shelf out there for manga at some point. And he's gonna sit on there, and then Teacher is gonna be right back there. He also towers over all the other Funkos. Like, that's Red Ranger Jason, and he's just short.
Poor Power
Ranger. He's taller than some of the Star Wars ones, which have a raised platform to stand on.
Oh, jeez.
He's fucking tall.
He's a big guy.
He's a tall boy. So yeah, he's gonna hang out there now. So you'll probably see him anytime I lean really far back. You'll just get a glimpse of him right next to the cap. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, you want the more casuals, like more easily recognizable stuff in the living room where people will visit more often. So, and then your more weeby stuff you can keep in the man cave.
Oh no, I'm having Weeby in the living room. Like, in the corner of my living room, like over there, is gonna be the corner of Weeb.
Okay.
Next to the foosball table.
Right next to the mini fridge too.
Mini fridge will go in here eventually.
Okay. Yeah. What are you
then
gonna
I don't
do
have
with
to get up for my White Claws.
What are you gonna do with the smoke machine and the disco ball?
No, hell no. That's too far even for me. Though I do plan on having my TV stand have lights underneath it.
Okay.
I still have those Christmas lights that I used to have on the setup I had before. They don't quite work in here because just like I don't know where I would set them in this.
Plus, it would ruin the awesome background light thing you have.
Yeah, I think they work with the background light because like sometimes they meld colors. Like when I would do blue with the red, and then some of the light would turn purple partway through, and it would spectrumize, which is really cool. I love that effect. So I do want to get some lighting, like for the shelves. I want to get some lights on the tops of each of them, and then maybe on that shelf, for the gaming stuff. But I don't know, maybe, and then maybe put some on the back of that shelf so the back of these are lit up.
Yeah,
more.
Like, we can't see any of the Funkos in the background, but also some of them just kind of blend in because, like, Doctor Strange, his hair's black. He just blends into the darkness that is the shelf.
Yeah, so I want to get some lighting back there. That's one of my plans. Again, I'm first working on upgrading the setup first. Which would, new PC, Stream Deck, stuff like that. Maybe a new monitor. We'll see. But I feel like again, I think most of my problems come from not having that second PC. I think it's just like I don't know. I think I'm just taxing my PC too much.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like separating that to another PC might help. Um, if I do it, if I get the setup and everything correct, I'll have like I don't know. I don't know if I want to do a mouse splitter or not. Mouse keyboard splitter because then you
I'd
only need
rather
one
have
USB.
both, honestly. Like two. I'd rather have two mice and two keyboards.
It's just I don't know where I put the second one.
Right next to the second computer.
Yeah, maybe I don't know.
Like you
It
could
just
have,
feels like
you could do what Jack Patillo does and have one of them in the background for display, and then have the mouse and keyboard right next to it, and then just hook up all the cables to it from around the room.
yeah, but my problem with that is like I'd probably because I would probably use my I don't know if I'd use my streaming PC. I'd probably use my streaming PC for more like casual stuff too.
Just
So
watching
like
YouTube videos.
yeah. Because then I would primarily have it set up on these two monitors because I would also be capturing Discord or anything else I did.
Mm-hmm.
So slight complication if I do that if I move it away. Though I could put the gaming PC on the side.
Possibility.
If I have a long enough mouse and keyboard. Yeah, it still ends up with the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
All right, but
I'm still
I think
figuring
that's
it
enough
out.
of this
Yes,
conversation.
let's go into movies.
All right, so let's start talking about movies. This week I have called it Hughman bots, spelt Hughman, because I'm clever. Because this week we're talking about Hugh Jackman
Huge
movies.
jacked man.
Yeah, huge jacked man and movies with robots in it. So yeah, we're talking the Wolverine, we're talking Real Steel, and we're going into Chappie. Anything else you want to say or do before we start talking about these movies?
I'm happy to start this month. I think this is gonna be a fun month. I think so. Just so you guys know, we kind of have the rest of the year like half mapped out in a way. We have our roadmap for the rest of the year,
Hmm.
and it's gonna be fun. I'm really looking forward to the latter half of this year.
And then I like towards the end of the year for the show because it's really simple. It's like, all right, we have themes that could be easy. We could plan this all out ahead of time, and then at the beginning of the year, it's just we fall apart again because it's like, all right, what are we gonna do? I don't know. What do you want to do?
Yeah, because the world fucking fell apart. We had we legitimately towards the beginning of this year, we had most of this year planned out. Because there were a lot of movies we wanted to see this year that we were like, we were pretty much like 3-4 months ahead planned out because of movie release schedule. We're like, okay, so this would probably work best during this time. We can knock out this because we didn't want to do all of we didn't want to do all of Bond in 1 month. We didn't want to do all of Fast and Furious in 1 month. We wanted to break that up. And then as we got to that movie, then do it with that some of their movies. But then the world fell apart. We're like, fuck.
We'll put it back together. We'll figure this out.
Which is why this year started out with Lord of the Rings, or partway through the year, we're like, I don't know, Lord of the Rings. I guess we can devote an entire episode to each one of those, right? So,
All right. So I guess, are we ready? Are we good to go?
I am ready.
All right. So let's begin by talking about the Wolverine. So,
What? I need to pull up sheets.
you want to say the stats very quickly?
Yes, stats came out in July 26, 2013, with a budget of $120 million. U.S. Open made 53 million. U.S. alone gross made 132 million. So it made the original budget back in the U.S. made more than that worldwide with $414 million. It did all right. I mean, it was no Avengers or Disney-owned Marvel movie,
Mm-hmm.
but for what Fox had been doing at the time, it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It was the first time I think Fox had a streak going too, because they did Days of Future Past before this. No, not Days of Future. They did First
Wasn't it?
Class before this.
I thought it was X-Men Origins before this, but I might be mistaken.
No, before that.
Okay.
Like that would have been so. It went Last Stand, which is 3 of the original trilogy. Origins, First Class. This one, Deadpool's 1, I think, is somewhere in that time frame too. And then they did Days of Future Past.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. They went from 2011 X-Men First Class to the Wolverine to Days of Future Past.
Yeah, and then Deadpool's somewhere in there. If I remember correctly.
And then 2018 was Deadpool 2. So
Yeah.
it
Which is some of their better acclaimed movies. They started to fall apart with the rest of the regular timeline stuff that they were doing with Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix, but this was like this. I think is one of the better movies, and it's a good Wolverine movie in my opinion. So
yeah, it's definitely not a bad movie by any means. I was a little bored watching it. Like I said, it might have been because it was the third movie that I watched in one day. Throughout the day, I was busy yesterday, but I was a little bored watching this movie, especially when it came to the fight. But at the same time, the fight is what woke me up. Like,
yeah,
I liked the mechanics. I liked the digital effects that they used. I liked the setup that they had for a lot of what was going on. For honestly, for like just the whole premise of it, because robot fights Wolverine, pretty damn cool. I have to admit. Though some of it was a little gimmicky and dumb, like there was a moment where, like the claw thing,
there is so much. Okay, so honest opinion is that I think this movie's not bad until that point. Okay, it's a little long, yes, but it's a story of Wolverine and him coming to terms with the fact that like things in Last Stand happened. And there's a lot that happened in Last Stand. It's not the best X-Men movie, but it's a fun X-Men movie in some places. You got Kelsey Grammer as Beast. But man, when it gets to that point, does it butcher and destroy the source material in a way that like isn't as entertaining, in my opinion? Because the Silver Samurai is originally supposed to be a character who fights Wolverine to get the heart of Mariko.
Mariko.
But
right? Yeah.
they changed it twice. There's 2 Silver Samurais in this, and I'm just like, why? And then the second samurai, I'm like, why?
Because
it's just a giant robot, and it's stupid. Because the Silver Samurai is supposed to have a kinetic ability that similar to Gambit's, where it energizes things and increases how much power output he's able to put into it, which is why he was a threat to the Wolverine. And it's supposed to be this big thing. The story of it's supposed to, teach Wolverine honor and stuff like that, because Wolverine, sometimes doesn't have that. Because he's the best at what he does, bub. He does have a great bub moment, by the way. Which I liked. But I'm just like, man, that fight is really stale in my opinion, especially having seen like this is 2013. We had at this point, we had the Batman movies. We had
like the Dark Knight
Avengers.
trilogy.
We've had Iron Man 1, 2, we had Thor, and we had Cap. Like, those all had really interesting fight things, and this one's just feels a lot like Iron Man 1.
I could see that, yeah. So I guess ultimately, my last question about this then would be, what'd you feel of Yukio? Like, I feel like she
underutilized,
was very much so, especially because like her power doesn't seem to really exist in this movie. It doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, whatever. So, I guess you want your popcorn kernels?
Yeah, I'll take my popcorn kernels.
Right. You got 10 popcorn kernels. Said, how many would you give to the Wolverine?
The Wolverine, honestly, is still a really enjoyable film, minus the fact that it butchers some of the source material. I still find a lot of it enjoyable, so I'm going to give it a 7.5.
All right. So for me in this movie, it like Robot Week, it's just thinking about that. I have to think about robots specifically.
Motherfucker, I swear to God, if you dock this for not being a full-on Robo movie, I'm going to be very upset with you. This...
I was about to say, if I'm doing it that way, it's a 2.5. But since I'm just going to... The movie itself is a good movie. It was fine. Like, I was bored only because I was sleepy. But I still like this movie. It's one of the better Fox X-Men movies for sure. though they definitely don't follow the source material at all. So
No.
I'll give this one a 6.
Okay, that's fair. That puts it right at a 7.
All right.
Because we're rounding up, so
Yeah. All right. So moving on up.
a low end 7.
Next movie,
All right,
Real Steel.
Real Steel.
So we're gonna talk about Real Steel here.
Oh man.
You got stats on this one too?
Yes, I do. Real Steel came out October 7th of 2011 with a box office of budget of $110 million. It made in US opening 27 million, US only 85 million, and then worldwide 299 million. Not quite 3 times its budget, which is, minimum goal. It's literally just under. It's only like 34. It's only like 34 million away, which isn't awful, but it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know why it didn't?
Why is that?
This movie's long.
Yes.
We watched this together, so this is one of the ones that me and Steven had time to watch together on. Man.
There are definitely moments where we're like, God, why is this happening? Why is this here? Why does this feel like it's taken 20 years? Why does this plot point, even though we've been waiting for an hour and a half, feel like it's suddenly rushed?
Yeah. Like, there's this movie, like, it doesn't introduce us to the robot on the poster until 45 minutes into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Once
a
they're
30-year movie. Why? Why did it take so long? Like, that's what part of my problem. Mind you, to this movie's credit, the acting I think is good.
Mhm.
Like the cast across, I think does a good job. It's a little cheesy, but it's supposed to be a little cheesy. I think the CGI does a good job. Like it surprisingly holds up. There's it's 2011, so it's gonna age some since then. But I think especially that first introduction, I think it holds up.
They do some pretty good stuff. Like it's cool because they I think they do their CGI wisely. Where the very first scene, they do it in the daytime, in broad daylight, so they could be like, this is what our robots look like, this is what our machines look like, this is how they interact with the world, and all that whatnot. And then progressively through the movie, as the action becomes harder to animate, the scenes get darker. But they get darker for reasons that make sense, because they go to underground fights, into coliseums, and then into actual performances, so it makes sense that the things are darker. But then once we're in that dark area, it may not look as real as it once did, but it's still so acceptable. It's not even noticeable, really.
Yeah, and the fights that are lit, they've put a lot more time into. You can tell, or you can't even tell that they put more time into it. They did because it is lit, so they have to do more lighting stuff.
Especially because, sorry, go ahead.
Because of the main stadium fight, there's a ton of different light sources in there,
Mm-hmm.
and you can tell they took the time to do that. And then when they minimize the light sources, you can cut a couple corners because of it, and you don't notice it because hey, there's less light, so some of this doesn't have to be completely polished.
Mm-hmm. And they did cool things too, because some of it was practically done. They actually had some of those robots on set, at least they'd have a dismantled head or a body or a statue that they could move around a little bit. But it was and when sorry, I'm getting all mixed up and I don't know why. It all made sense and it looked cool, and they would do the practical to the digital switches so well that they're hardly noticeable at times.
Yes.
So it for a 2011 movie, it does not giant robots. It does large robots pretty darn well. There was only really a couple moments where the CG kind of drew my attention, a moment with the bull, a couple of fights, the physics of a swing or something or whatnot. But that's all just minor detail. A lot of the stuff that I complain about is the story itself, the timing and whatnot, like we were saying.
Yeah, no.
There's really small random set things that would catch your attention. But go ahead.
Before that, I do want to say soundtrack was also pretty damn good.
Yeah, soundtrack was nice. It's a weird one because it's a pop soundtrack for sure. Well, not necessarily pop-y, but it's not a pop genre music, but it's popular music. as the
Yes.
soundtrack. Um, so usually those don't really do that well in most cases, but like this one picked some not like major mainstream songs while also picking some older, really well-known songs and blended them together. Occasionally they did like a good orchestral moment, but I definitely like the music of this song because it fit. Like I personally don't really like rap, but their use of Eminem was really good.
Yeah. Um, and like I said, acting's good. Like the kid actor, Dakota Goya, um, who was in Thor as well, apparently. He's a voice in Rise of the Guardian. He hasn't been much since. But I thought he was pretty good. Like for a kid actor, he did a good job. I think the movie, like we said though, starts to fall apart with the writing, and there's some ADR things that like really threw us off.
Mhm.
Um, Moments where there should have been some form of audio and there wasn't, or the way they did the audio felt like
Mhm.
off.
Like there was,
Um,
yeah.
I don't know, like it felt weird.
Like the big things that bug me though are like they'll hold out scenes for way too long. Like, oh, we're gonna walk around this corner, and then they'll hold the scene until the shadows walk around a second corner, or they'll hold a scene where two people are talking and hugging for about 5 or 10 seconds too long, or they'll let's see which part was it. Um, they'll take or then they'll skip moments that are supposed to be significant or like they show one moment that's not really a spoiler is like they go dumpster diving essentially
Yeah,
and there's all this comeuppance about what will happen if they get caught and on the way in there's searchlights and they have to dodge the searchlights but none of that matters on the way out but the kicker is Hugh Jackman characters leave his character leaves in the middle of this, so he just leaves the son alone to figure his stuff out. And the son doesn't leave until morning, but he's still stealing a robot from a dumpster. And I feel like by morning there'd be people there. Like, there's all these logistics that they kind of skip just to make the movie happen, even though they
yeah,
throw the stakes in there to begin with.
yeah, and like it feels, and there's some dialogue stuff too that just kills some moments too. Like they follow some really annoying tropes, like, and there's some plot lines like the money plot line
Mm-hmm.
that never pay off.
I kind of
Like,
agree with you, yeah. Like, there are people that are brought up that we never see or never hear from. So we get to see two characters that have money conflicts and that are successful, but we're introduced to like 5 or 6. And one of those money conflicts gets his own what for later on in the movie, his own comeuppance. So
yeah. Well, the other one who like does something really scummy. Not like you think there's a scene where they almost bring it up, but then they just drop it in that same scene.
mm-hmm.
Like, what do you mean paid for?
Yeah, like there are definitely
And
moments.
it's just dropped
Yeah,
from there and out, and
Doesn't matter.
that shouldn't be dropped like that. Like, don't bring it up during that scene because you could have just had it so that the scene that happened previous where he's like, I don't need it, kind of thing. That was the end of it. That could have been the end of it. Fine. But then you continue. I don't know. That part I think is kind of dumb.
And that. Oop! I just. Hang on 1 second. I'm gonna change the size of my camera. There we go. I felt a little bloated.
Oh, gee. All right. It's studio mode. I don't know. It's just stuff like that. Like, I think it's like during this entire movie, I was saying there is a good movie in this.
Absolutely.
There's an enjoyable movie.
Yeah, the enjoyable part is definitely the last third of this film. But by that point, it's weird because we've already watched an hour and a half of this movie, and well, an hour and 15 minutes, I guess technically. We've already gotten that far in, and we're already sitting there like all this build up and all these things are taking a little bit too long, and then we immediately jump into the action packed stuff, like the training montages and then the fights and all of that, and some of it we don't even get to see. Like, I feel like this movie would have been better if we got to see the relationship of the family. Like, we got to see dad and son develop their relationship through a montage over time. But it would have been better if we got to see fights. And with each progressing fight, we get to see how the interactions change. And, like, we could still have done it in a montage type way, but be, like, in a different scenario, a different fight, a different person, and, like, spend a little bit more time with these in-between scenes before ramping it up suddenly to just training and then straight into competition, you know? Like, in professional competition.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem, too. It just, like, it kind of, like, it montages the wrong parts. It, like, honestly, I joked about it being like it's like it feels like it's got some unearned Rocky moments.
Mm-hmm.
Just follow Rocky. Like, it's the plot for this movie is easily set up. Just interchange some things, cut it up a little bit different, and you've got like an homage to Rocky that works. I don't know. It's just like I think that was part of the problem too. Like, and then it like because of it drags. And then we were sitting there, it's like, damn, there's still another fucking hour of this. Which sucks. I'm just like, man, I just watched a movie that like doesn't feel like it's dragging and is consistently upping its game, and then this. It hurts. Because and I think it hurts more because there is a good movie in here.
Yeah.
That's the part that hurts more, because like you could see how this movie maybe should have been cut a little bit.
Especially,
and if the casual sees it, then there's something wrong.
Yeah, especially because one of my problems with this movie too was like the ending with the emotional connections and the how just things resolve. It feels really unjustified, especially and only because of how they tell the story in this movie. Like, if they had spent more time showing us the relationships develop, it would have felt more justifiable. But they kind of skipped the relationships developing. They showed us the beginning, the rocky start, and then they showed us more towards the end. They showed us one conflict, I guess, really. But that's barely a relationship in development at all. And then we're supposed to feel gratified and justified with how the movie ends. Like, as you heard my topics during the movie, it's like, and I can't really say them how I said it there because it'd be too spoilery, but like it just doesn't quite pay off really emotionally wise, storytelling wise. Like, there's definitely 100% a good film in here. It's just buried. You just got to trim the fat, you know.
Yes, that is it. It just needs to trim some fat. It needs to work out a little. It needs to do some training. It needs its own montage.
Especially, like, one of the scenes that still bugs me, and it's so silly. It's so minor that it bugs me too. It's like they is a getaway where they were parked in a field. You could see where their tire tracks were, and the guy runs up and looks the opposite direction of the tire tracks and is like, "Oh, they're gone!" Oh, and it's like, it's just directed and decisions making at that point. I don't know.
Yeah, no. We have a lot of similar opinions about this movie.
So, any other things we want?
Did you think the cinematography was good? Because I didn't notice anything that was off about it. But also, I'm not the expert.
I thought the cinematography was fine. Honestly, there was no real moments that really caught my attention. I would say the one moment that I liked the most was the shadow scene where you could see Adam and Hugh Jackman in the air as like that one moment was really cool. Every once in a while, the moments where honestly the best moments, which isn't really a good cinematography thing. It's just like digital effects and how they set the frame. Is just when the shadow mode is on,
Oh
and
yeah.
like those are honestly the most memorable moments of this to me when it comes to cinematography. Um, but that's not necessarily a bad thing either. Like they do a lot of things where they do camera angles for uh, someone being like more demanding or more intimidating and threatening. They'll do like above or below angles and whatnot, and yeah. So they plan that stuff out and it works. They definitely do fine. So none of that stuff sticks out. So it's not bad cinematography by any means. Sure, I'll take a smoothie. Thought I heard that in the background. Thanks, Dad. Aha.
Where's my smoothie?
You want to come over? I'm sure he'd make you one.
Dude, I would come over if the world wasn't on fire.
Oh yeah, like that's literally just been my offer to everybody. They're like, "What? Where's my version of that? If you'd come over, I'd give you some. Good luck. Don't die. Your prize is making it to me. I'm your quest master."
I, I mean, hey, if I do the road trip whenever the next TwitchCon is,
In 3 years.
yeah, depending on how things go.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just like there's just some. It's just got some off moments. It's not necessarily bad. It's not necessarily good. It's kind of in the middle. I'd say it's just maybe it's above average, but not by much. That's its problem because it's being held back by a lot of just extra.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna give you your popcorn.
My popcorns. With this movie, it's kind of weird. I guess I gave the Wolverine too high of a score because I hold this movie a little bit higher than Wolverine, but I also don't think this movie is a 7.
You think you gave Wolverine too high of a score at a 6? It's absurd.
I'll give Real Steel a 7. Like
Okay.
it's fine. Like if I could give quarters, I'd give it a 7.75, but or
7.75?
6.6 6.75.
Oh, 6.75.
My
Okay.
apologies.
Well,
Oh,
funny
I
enough for
round up.
me, I'd give it probably, if we went quarters, 6.25, and I rounded down a little bit because I didn't quite hit that half point for me. Um, like it's just, I think it's just bogged down and slow,
Mm-hmm.
which for me, I mean, that's one of my biggest critiques of a movie is when your movie feels long.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just what holds back a movie for me. Um, what held back Green Hornet last week is what holds back this movie this week.
Okay. So I guess Real Steel averages out at a 6.5.
Yes.
And we're moving on to our third and final movie of the night, which happens to be. I'm gonna see if the slate
Chappie?
works yet. Yeah, Chappie. Nope, slate didn't work. Damn it. Chappie! I thought it would be.
So Chappie came out March 6th, 2015, with a budget of $49 million. It opened in the US for $13 million, made $31 million US gross, and then $102 million worldwide. Probably should have made more. This movie's good.
Yeah, I agree with you. This movie.
There's some sort of static coming, by the way.
Static?
Yeah, I don't know if the stream's hearing it. Let me real quick. At least I'm hearing it through Discord.
Oh, it's like popping up every once in a while.
Go ahead and talk.
Hello, my name is Lindsay Lohan, and you know.
Okay, I just hear the fan in the background. That's fine then.
Okay. Yeah, it's hot in here.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I mean, my AC is still running out there, so and you can barely pick it up through mine. So, sorry, it's hot, people. So this one is, I believe, by the same people who did
District 9.
District 9 and Elysium. So if you liked those movies, you're gonna like this movie. Um, And I think it's a fun movie, in my opinion. Chappie's definitely interesting, the whole premise and everything. Um, it has some interesting choice of casting with Ninja and Ioladi Vizir, who are two. I can't remember what country they're from. Artists. Um, they're East Coast of South African, at least for from South Africa. And they're South African artists, and they so fun story about them and my brother, who um, from playing Magic and everything. So
Mhm.
when him and my friend went and saw this, um, in theaters, without me, still mad. Um, they became obsessed with listening to their music.
Mm.
Their videos are fucking weird sometimes, dude.
I bet.
Because this movie also has a lot of their music in it. Whenever they're in the scenes driving
Mhm.
around and stuff, it's using their music.
Yeah. The
Um,
Ninja song, I was like, yep, that's him. That's their
yep,
music.
that's their music, 100%. Um, you know what? They're in the movie. That's fine. I understand. Like,
And it fits in
why
scene.
not?
Like,
Yeah.
his character is named Ninja. His song that is played in the background from the car is Ninja. It's not like the music in this movie is not necessarily like background music like you would think. Like it's just not music playing that you can hear that makes the mood.
Oh,
It's
there's a
music
term for it.
which it does do this, but it does it so subtly that it just works. But most of the music that you hear is music that's coming from the outside world. It's in context music.
Yes, there's a term for it. I just watched H
There
Bomber
is.
Guy talked about it in his Ruby video.
There
Because the
is. I
first
just
thing you
can't remember
introduce
what the
Ruby,
word is.
she's actually listening to the song in her headset, and he said the term. Oh,
I'll look it up here.
yeah. We'll see which one remembers first, Brain or Google.
If I could type right. Music.
Um,
Incidental music. No.
oh, God damn it. Where's the video? I'm scrolling up. How long ago did I fucking send that to you?
It wasn't that
Jesus.
long ago.
No, it wasn't, but we messaged each other a fucking lot,
Yeah.
bro. Shit.
Helps if I learn how to type.
Yeah.
Diegetic sound.
Yes! Diegetic sound. That's it.
Diegetic music. When it's organic to the scene and not added in over top.
Yes. And pretty much all music in this is diegetic, except for like the score itself.
And
So
then the score, like it blends in so well. Like it'll start at basically nothing, one very long held note, and it's just ethereal, but and it just blends in so well that you can't tell that it's really a score or not until it's like really pounding in your ears, and you're like, "Oh, there's music playing."
yeah.
And this movie is interesting because it like this director does an amazing job where he asks really interesting questions that are based off of human fears on the time. He reminds me of a horror writer, but he's more like philosophical.
Yes.
So like District 9 is about aliens and what it'd be like to live in a world with aliens and how we would treat them, and this is essentially the same thing, only it's robots.
Yeah, and they go sentient.
And which it's really cool because they're very similar movie ideas, but very different at the same
Yes. Their core concept is utterly different how we would react to.
time. So it's cool. I like this director. I like him asking the hard questions. It makes me want to see him do a psychological thriller movie, like Mama. Ooh.
Stop reminding me that we're doing that. I swear to God, man. There's gotta be some sort
we're
of
doing
fucking.
I Am Mother.
Oh,
I'm talking.
whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I meant, motherfucker.
But yeah, like he does movies that I really enjoy watching. for sure. They're deep. They make you think. They are well put together. Um, they progress very naturally and tell a very compelling story. Like at first, I was sitting here and I was wondering, how am I going to get super attached to this character? And it was almost instantaneous. One, because of the acting, two, because of the writing, and then three, because of the music. So
Yeah, no, it hits you on all fronts to make you immediately attached to the character and be like, oh, okay,
mhm.
I'm
especially
in.
yeah, especially because the reason why it sells me is specifically because of the actor Yolandi and her role as Yolandi. Like because
Yes.
in this setup, they are these badass mafia members who, well, not necessarily members, they're their own crime group that literally kills people and steals things. And her heart melts instantly as soon as she sees Chappie online. And, like, because her emotions change, our emotions change. And it's just an interesting little, like, it's an argument of nature versus nurture, as well as uh, conversation on humanity, and we're once again picking some really good themes for movies.
Yeah.
So I don't know, this is a
No,
movie I really
it's
enjoy.
good.
This is like
Yeah, no, this was a good pick, man.
yeah, high recommendations. I though there are things I want to complain about, mainly the beginning, like the very beginning. That's something I want to talk about, and how it ties into the movie. Um,
Oh, the like the
exposition dump in the beginning, mainly. Like
that like is from the future.
yeah, that we never reach.
We're from the future.
Yeah. Like the exposition dump starts in the future, then it jumps back 18 months, and then it plays for 5 days, and then the movie ends.
Yes.
So, at some point after the 5 days, but before the 18 months is missing, or before the future scene in the beginning is missing. And that kind of bugs me. Like, I love this story for what it is, but I feel like the time skip in the beginning has to be less. Because it just fills me with so much, like, I'm curious as to what happens between the time that they leave the movie and then to the 18 months. Because from
They
where we
name
are,
drop Chappie.
yeah, they name drop Chappie in the beginning exposition, but where we are left off at the end of the movie, they are isolating themselves.
Yeah.
So there's this huge jump there where it's supposed to be like these are definitely two different movies about the same problem, really. Like District 9 is about how we have treated those people and like our reactions about how we like them as an individuals that are not us. And then this movie is like the beginnings of that, how we get to District 9 areas. And like at least that's the impression that I got.
It also is the question of what is considered life.
That's true.
That's also one of the questions, which that is a big question going forward because we will. It is inevitable that we hit the singularity um, of AI. That is going to happen. And people who say it's not, you're bullshitting yourself with what we're doing, technology wise. Like, the fact that there's an AI program in fucking Alien that learns to follow you and stuff like that, or that we've had games learn who you are, kind of thing, as a person. That came out. What Silent Hill 1 and 2 came out how long ago? And they had programs like that in there that learned what you did and didn't do and stuff like that. And learned from that to create the game more around you.
Mm-hmm.
We've created programs that learn.
Dude, like Google back in 2017 had to shut down an AI program because they had two AIs that learned to communicate to each other through code that we couldn't crack. And that was 2017.
Yeah.
This has been 3 years.
I mean, some people like the predict because I can't remember who did it, but they set up a chart and they said, and for most of this technology that they predicted has been ballpark correct.
Mm-hmm.
He said because it was ballpark estimations that he gave. Um, like cell phones, stuff like that, modern internet, stuff like that. He ballparked it. He said, I think around here, this and that. And he's been pretty close on most things. Within a few years here and there. Which I think is pretty good prediction. And I think the prediction for AI was like 24, 42, I think was his prediction.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you it happens before then. Honestly. Because like these movies come out and we're like, oh yeah, no, there's no way. There's no way Skynet can happen or Chappie could happen. What? No, it's completely reasonable. And then we need to decide what at that moment defines life. Because the question too would be, because not to get political with this for a moment, but like it would go against, in my opinion, certain people's ideals if, let's say, it would go against the pro-lifers, okay,
Mm-hmm.
to say that a sentient AI wasn't life. Personal opinion. Because what they consider life
Would be less
doesn't even have
complex than
sentience.
that AI.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
That it brings up such moral questions at that point to some people's moral fiber, and I don't think people are going to handle it correctly. I think some will. Some reasonable people will be like, "No, that's sentience. That's life. That is," because in my opinion, sentience is the definition of life. In my opinion, like personal opinion, because it's just like once you start processing
Mm-hmm.
information, which I mean does in a lot of cases does start in the womb for mammals. That's when you're like alive, in my opinion, because you're processing like when your brain starts processing the things it needs to do. Because like there are things like giraffes, you know, they figure out how to fucking walk in 2 seconds. They drop super far and then get up. And they've got to process that. And I mean, partway through that, like I bet you there's something inside their brain that's like, hey, you know, your legs kind of move like this.
Just
They're gonna be, yeah,
It's kind of like with babies. I kind of had this discussion with my my stepmother. Babies know how to float in a pool. They know, and with training, they can learn to turn themselves over to flip over. But a child will forget these things because it's just something that they've learned innately through over time.
yeah.
So, like inside a giraffe's womb, the baby giraffe is walking around on its feet.
But like, I don't know. In my opinion, it does raise up the moral questions. That's pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie.
Sorry, yeah. It's just, that's one thing led
Not
to
to kill
another
your
in my
joke, but I
mind.
was just yeah.
No, yeah.
I just like this is such a philosophical question. Same with District 9, which we gotta do District 9 at some point.
Yes.
Would love to talk about that movie more.
Whenever Alien Month is.
Yeah, whenever we get there. I bet you straight up. I'm pretty sure we'll do an Alien Month at some point. The way this month is so far started up. But like I don't know. It's just like there's some deep questions about what we consider life. And I think like this movie like if you wouldn't consider Chappie alive, like then why? That would be my question. Because it's just like it has consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
It's alive. It can process. It can understand.
But it doesn't feel. But it does. But it doesn't.
I don't know. It's just one of those things.
So, like, I don't know what else we could talk about that's not philosophical, that's movie related, without going into spoilers.
Fair.
So, like, anything else that's catching your mind before we swap into spoilers and review ratings?
Um,
Oh, I have one
no, we
question
can
I
just
just thought of.
okay go.
So this is Hugh Jackman month. So what was your opinion of him in this movie?
Oh, I thought he was fun. Like in the sense of like what he was doing with the character. I
Mhm.
like he played the character well. For what it's supposed to be. Because there's this one intense scene in the office, and I'm
Mhm.
like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, yeah.
Forgot you're not a hero and everything.
But he was an army. He was a veteran.
Doesn't all make you a hero. Just gonna say that. I know that might be a blasphemous statement to some people, but just because someone is a vet doesn't automatically make them a hero.
Oh yeah, that's a conversation I'm waiting to have one of these days.
Good luck.
So yeah, but until that day, let's go popcorns.
Okay, I think I'm giving it an 8.5.
8.5. Nice. I was
Yeah.
gonna do the same.
Hey there. We had literally all three ways we could have done this: a uneven, a perfectly split, and a solid. That's a solid 8.5.
All right. So let's. I guess. Can you hit the spoiler button?
Let's get ready to spoil
Let's get ready to steal. Sorry, glad they didn't do that.
I'm sad that my slate still doesn't work. I need to fix that goddamn transition. All right. So yeah, this movie I liked and didn't like all at the same time. Like I said, like I didn't like that beginning intro, which led us to nowhere, because it leads us off at the end with like Chappie in isolation, and it's
Yeah,
like how where does the next year and a half go that gets us
Dion
to
and Chappie are in isolation as robots.
yeah, which is really kind of cool to think about. Like this man who clearly says we know nothing about consciousness, yet makes a conscious AI, then has his conscious AI transfer his consciousness from his human body into a robot body. Which theoretically could mean that they could both become humans. They could both
Yeah.
become cats. They could both become dogs. Like
You know, you would if there was a comatose person with no consciousness. If you were able to repair the body, but the mind was still gone.
now we're talking about like a movie, Netflix series called Altered Carbon.
Oh,
Like in that series, they're called stacks, which is a disc that goes into one of your vertebrae in your spine that holds all of your consciousness, your memory, your everything. And that stack can be downloaded from one device into another. Um, you can only have one because if you split into multiples, you start to like fragment and do damage to your
now we're
yourself.
talking about um
Rest of the show.
Rooster Teeth show. Genlock.
Genlock. Yeah. So you start to fragment and whatnot, but if that stack can be like, say for instance, our main character, he was frozen essentially in prison for 200 years. So he's one thing, and then 200 years later, he's alive in a completely different society and a completely different body. So, and then the next season, he's John Mackey, Anthony Mackey.
Anthony Mackie.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I didn't talk about it on the last movie. Lots of Marvel cameos. We had
yeah.
Evelyn Lilly. We had Anthony Mackie. Like wow. Like we had what's his name from Fox movies as well. We had Hugh Jackman, of course, who's in all of these. We had I think it's Gregory Sims, right? Load, please. No. Who the fuck was it? Oh, Kevin Durant, who played Blob in Origins. Um we had some superheroes in the last one. Yeah. Like and then Carl Yoon was in Arrow. So just like across the board, people, superhero people in it. I'm like, wow, that's didn't expect that.
What do you mean? Marvel picks the best actors ever, always, from all walks
Hey,
of
listen,
life.
I just when we started to get further, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of Marvels, and there's some DCs, huh? There's also some people here.
So, but going back on the Chappie,
Oh, and Hope Davis, who played the aunt, was in Civil War. She played Maria Stark.
more Marvel connections. They're
Well, I'm
everywhere,
gonna check
people.
James real quick.
Okay, but
Okay.
talking
Yeah.
about Chappie again, there are a couple of other things that I want to talk about. Like, part of the conflict in this movie comes from the relationship between Dion, the Maker, and the gang, Ninja, Joe, and America. Like the three of them,
Yeah.
and Dion's relationship is a lot of the key components of stress in this movie. But I mean, it just felt not at all like, I don't know. I felt the conflict from a mile away. Like, it just seemed like it was the only possible route that this story could go down for me. So it was partially disappointing. Like, Dion's whole thing is he wants to create life. He wants to essentially make a child. And then once he creates Chappie, he treats it like his child. But the problem is he has, from the very beginning, given up his rights to this child, aka conversation about adoption and like parentage and stuff like that. He gave up his rights to this child and gave them to um, our group of three gangster friends. So there was bound to be conflict from the very beginning about what their morals would be and what was right and wrong and what they'd want for Chappie because he's sentient. So I even though I really like this movie, I like the way it goes. It all feels natural. It just I wish there was a little more like more twists almost. Like
That's fair.
this movie was, while it makes you think, it wasn't hyper sensational by any means. It's not slow, but I feel like if you're not wanting to think, you're not going to enjoy this movie.
No, that's fair. I think more twist could have worked. But at the same time, I don't know. Like it could have. I think it may have made this movie drag if we added too much more to it. We could have ran into some of the issues we ran in with Real Steel.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's up for debate, though.
Yeah, like it's weird because I don't know how I would change this movie to do what I'm recommending. Because it's good. This movie is good as is. But at the same time, I'd still like more, That's why it only gets 8.5 and not a 9 or a 10 or whatnot. So
You always want more.
Mm-hmm. So it's hard for me to say exactly what this movie's missing. Because I feel like District 9 definitely had a little more excitement to it than this movie did. So I don't know. I don't know. At least in that aspect. Let's see. Other things I want to talk about would be, while I like Hugh Jackman himself, his actor, the way he treats the role, I'm not sure I like his motivation. Like,
Oh, I get it though.
yeah, it makes sense. His whole, at least based on what I got, his whole motivation is he wants his project to succeed. But as long as the scout line is there, it won't succeed because the scouts are just better for the tasks needed. So his solution, because he absolutely has to have his device succeed, is to plunge the city in chaos.
Yes. Well, so there's also a subplot for him too. Subtextual
Mm-hmm.
is that he's also a God-fearing man who fears the concept
Of AI.
of AI.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That was talked
so
about in the beginning.
Chappie is the literal antithesis of what he wants
Mhm.
in the world. He's a self-reliant AI robot that will essentially replace what he wants to do.
Mhm.
And he's gonna do what he can to prevent all of it. And he wants his stuff to succeed, and the only way he sees to do that is to make the other fail. Um, by doing that, I don't like he definitely doesn't have any moral ground to stand on. So what happens to him, I think, is fine. It's rough, but damn, had it coming. But it's at the same time, I understand what your critique of him,
Mhm.
so I'm not taking away from that.
Like what happens to him? Definitely, he has it coming. Like, I'm not upset with what happens to him. I mean, he's still alive at the end, so that's good. He's just,
If you can call that alive.
yeah, he's just very broken. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, it's all the other all the other motivations for this movie make sense to me. Like, the only other character that I think I could deal with less of was Hippo. Um, the crime boss that makes our three gang members terrified. Uh,
Oh.
and then
I thought my door was knocking.
yeah, and then someone's their head from behind the doorway.
Yeah, fuck that. That happened. I'm done, dude.
Yeah, you would be done. You would be dead, probably.
Well, I mean, at that point, yeah. But hey, at least it's on camera.
The content.
This channel will go through the roof for a month.
Dude, the problem about that, like, real talk for a second. If something ever happens to us on stream, like, do you know my real life address?
No.
I don't know your real life address.
We should fix that after stream.
Yeah.
Just to be safe.
It's like, Dev, are you okay? Call 911. My friend, I was having a video call with him and he's choking. What's the address?
Oh, wait, Jay has my address.
Jay, answer the phone. Dev's choking.
Yeah.
I need your help. So, yeah, we'll fix that later. But,
Yeah. Just text it to me. I'll text you mine.
so Chappie,
Yeah.
we keep getting distracted. Maybe we should
It's one of those days. We should probably wrap up.
Yeah.
We are getting way too distracted today.
anything else? With
Nope.
All right, let's move into the news. Oh, hey, by the way, August Fools.
That was our joke. That's why we didn't exactly follow formula because we actually started to talk about the movie because we actually we can't help ourselves. But Wolverine was supposed to be a joke, and then we actually started to break the joke. But then we tried to fix the joke, but then it didn't quite work.
We just-
because we're too ourselves sometimes,
Just easily distracted.
but easily want to talk about a film. Like we were supposed to do it like this, but it went.
It was still only 5 minutes.
Was it?
About, yeah.
Wow, I'm impressed. I thought we went longer.
It was like 5 or 6 minutes, yeah. Because yeah, somewhere around there.
All right, but let's
But yeah, we
let's
did
do the news quick.
So yeah, that's August Fools. Since we're bad at holidays.
Yeah, we're creating our own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it barely fit a theme, so we made it work.
Yeah.
So look out for next August. We'll have a movie that barely fits the theme of the week.
Who knows what it'll be?
Haha, we don't.
Yeah, we don't keep track of anything.
So yep, there's that. That was August Fools there. Other movie news. I think I actually had movie news again, but I forgot to pull it up. What a shame. I'm so dumb.
Rip. Well, that's it.
If only. No. I've been controlled here. So let's see. I'm going to quickly skim through IMDb news and see if anything pops up that catches my attention. People are passing away still. Oh, some cinemas are starting to reach out for people to get donations and things. Like my local cinema has sent me many text messages asking for donations under hashtag Save Our Cinema. So
That sucks.
yeah, I mean I see the problem because all of the movie theaters here where I live are owned by one. I don't know what they are. Like it's called this.
Conglomerate?
Yeah, I guess they're called the Santa Rosa Cinema Group, and they own all of the movie theaters in this area.
Mine, the two that I go to in town are owned by the same company as well.
So like, part of me feels like they don't have to beg and ask for donations because they own like 12 movie theaters. But at the same time, I can kind of see them being like, yeah, one of our 12 isn't going to be able to stay afloat, so can you help us with that?
Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot there. Because like mine, like the company that owns our like my theaters, Sun Basin Theaters. They own the two in Wenatchee and then one in Port Angeles,
Mhm.
Washington. Um, None of them are open. Um, and so like they're losing money straight up. Um, and who knows when like the theaters are gonna open at this point. I mean, they want to open in August.
Mhm.
Um, like apparently SpongeBob is supposed to come out next week. Or the end of this week actually on the 7th. If they do that, who knows? But like literally for the rest of the year, I'm looking at movies that are supposed to release at the main theater gateway. SpongeBob, Tenet, Bill and Ted, Kingsman. Those are three for August. Kingsman for September. October is Wonder Woman. November is Soul and No Time to Die, and December is Free Guy, and Top Gun. And then it goes mid third area of next year for the next few movies. Like, I don't know if these movies are actually to open. That's the thing. At least in America, like they can open elsewhere.
Mhm.
But man, like we are not in a condition to go to a theater. We're on the rise right now. Like I don't think this can happen. Like just looking at stats right now for the county that I'm in, we're now above 11,000 or 1,100 in the county. And above 10 deaths now. With actually, it's an above 1% death rate now. Because it's 12 deaths to 1,100 confirmed cases. And it's on the rise. Like, of what I updated you guys, like when I got sick, it was around like 400. That's a lot in 4 weeks, man. That's like 600 cases, 600, 700 cases since I had that scare. And there are multiple people around me, like potentially getting sick and stuff like that. Friends that I know who don't work with me anymore who potentially got sick, stuff like that, dude. Like, it's just it's on the rise. Like, I don't see my theater opening up for these movies safely.
Neither do I. My theater. But you know what sucks? Earlier today, even while I was at work, I got in a fight with someone on Facebook about COVID-19. Because, like, I hated that I got into this argument because that's just what we're in right now. This person who I had worked with when I did my door-to-door job in Phoenix, uh, she posted a post that essentially said COVID 19's not real. It's just a distraction from the real problems like pedophilia. So I questioned her on it. I was like, how is 150,000 Americans dead in 4 months a distraction? And all the comments, because it was multiple people, not just her, um, started talking about how half of the numbers from the CDC were fake and that uh, the population of the U.S. is 330 million people. So if 150,000 people die, it's only 0.04% of the public. So is it really a deadly virus? Uh, is
Well, it's a 3.4% death rate
mhm.
right now in America.
Yeah, but it's 0.04%.
And that's also not counting deaths that are on top of that from other things.
Yeah, but it's apparently 0.04% of the deaths in the last 4 months of the U.S. is all that COVID has killed, supposedly. So they're implying that it's not important, that it doesn't matter, that people get sick all the time, and so what, kind of thing. And I just couldn't stand for it. So I asked them those kind of things. And I started doing their math game too, because they were like, oh, it's only 0.04%. Do the math. This isn't a deadly virus. Blah, 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 blah. And so I did the same thing to them because they gave me numbers. So I did the math game back. And they're like, there are 800,000 kids in the human trafficking system right now. And my response was like, okay, if there are 800,000 kids in the human trafficking system, and if I use your 330 million number, that's only 0.24% of the U.S. population. Oh, that's a tiny number. I guess that doesn't matter. Of course I didn't. I said that to them. But then I said, of course that's not the truth, because that 0.24% does matter. Those lives do matter. Those people matter. So why do these deaths not matter? And then I had to make sure to be like, so, and if my stats are wrong, and I posted like the Google stats, because that's just what I do now. I type in Google infection rates, like COVID-19, and they'll show a graph, they'll show all the information, they'll show the charts and total numbers, and I shared that, I showed it to them, and it's like, this is where I got my number for this post. So if that information is incorrect, where did you get your 800,000 kids information? And I haven't heard anything back. It's been 6 hours. So I think I won this argument. But I'm still fucking tired of arguing with people that COVID-19 isn't real. Like...
And America is the only place right now where this is the major, like, first world country where this is up for debate that it's real. Which is bullshit. Because it's affecting everyone right now.
Why do you think we've been locked in our home? And it's not because...
Why do you think places are going to go back into lockdown, man? Places are going to go back to what we were doing.
And you know what people are saying? It's because your Democratic governor who's shutting you down and ruining our economy. So, yeah. Keep that in mind.
As people in charge start to
how does
defund our post office.
Yeah. So they don't have to worry about, while they simultaneously talk about delaying the election, while they simultaneously talk about not accepting ballots that are sent through the mail because they aren't counted exactly on the day of the election. Like,
because we're defunding the post office.
Like, his argument for that, by the way, it still bugs me. He was like, I don't want to sit there and wait days, weeks, months, years to find out who won the election. And he goes on, of course. And I just zoned out at that point, because I was like, when have we ever waited months or years to learn the results of an election?
Dude, Washington's been vote by mail for fucking years, dude. For all of its stuff. And now this defunding stuff is going to affect this state too, which has been doing it good for years. I don't know, man. Like, just listen. Like, just fucking listen, people, please. I want to feel safe at work again. It's like, I just don't anymore.
Yeah, that was fun. Today was my first day back at work, by the way, which was fun. I got to hear of all of our new policies for COVID-19, which work, but I'm very reluctant still. But I'm at a crosshairs because I can't, like...
Crossroads,
sure. I'm at a crossroads because, I mean, it's basically a crosshair because if I mess up...
I mean, yeah.
But, because if I feel like I don't necessarily feel safe going to work, I'll be honest. Like, it's just how things are. But at the same time, this is also the job that laid me off, and they're going back to work. So if I tell them, no, I don't want to work because I'm worried about my health, they're going to tell the state of California, hey, he turned down this job offer, so it's his fault that he is unemployed. So it's
Yeah.
possible that I will lose unemployment if I don't go back to work right now.
Oh, and that's stupid as shit.
So, yeah. Like, which, don't get me wrong, I'm still technically losing unemployment because I'm going to work, but the difference here is I'm not canceling my unemployment. Like, it's not a dead end. Like, they're just not going to pay me these couple of weeks that I'm working because I'm working essentially what's going to be considered a temp job right now because who knows how long schools are going to be open for.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
So I might be working for 2-3 weeks, but then California shut down again. So I'm back on unemployment. So this is just a weird situation that we're in. That was actually one of the bets that we were taking at lunch today because we had 30 minutes of free time. So it was like, hey, who wants to bet how long until they start closing down the schools again? The shortest answer was 3 weeks. The longest answer was October. So.
Yeah.
So there's that depressing news. Is there anything else you want to talk about on that subject?
No. Let's just head out at this point. I got nothing.
I got 3 things I want to talk about. Thing 1, news 1. There's a motorcycle series coming out on Apple TV Plus called Long Way Up, which will have Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman as the stars. So if you want to see biker boy Ewan McGregor, get Apple Plus, I guess. I only brought that up because I know you like Obi-Wan, and McGregor's pretty cool. There's that. Second thing, this one I actually think you'll like. The Hollywood Foreign Press Association is being sued and is accused of being an illegal cartel. And it says here, a Norwegian reporter has sued the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, alleging it as a culture of corruption under which reporters abuse their power to suppress competition. The person's name, the Norwegian entertainment name is Gjertsi Fla, Kjertsi for first name, last name Flaa, filed the complaint in federal court on LA County, claiming that the HFPA, Hollywood Foreign Press, operates as a cartel in violation of antitrust laws. The HFPA has 87 members whose primary function is to vote on the annual Golden Globe Awards. But according to the suite, the organization repeatedly rejects Flaw's applications for membership. She has accused the HFPA for leveraging their clout to obtain junkets and monopolize the market of Hollywood coverage in various countries, and has been quoted for stating that the HFPA is so focused on protecting its monopoly position and tax-free benefits that it has adopted bylaw provisions that exclude from membership of all objectively qualified applicants who might possibly compete in an existing membership with an existing member. And as of right now, the HFPA has not responded to the media for requests for interview. So, for anyone who, like Dev, who thinks the Golden Globes and the Emmys are rigged, this might be good news for you.
I mean, they are.
Yeah. So, this person...
You win by paying money.
Mm-hmm. This person has come out and said, yeah, they're rigged. We need more people in there who will talk about diversity in filmmaking. So, there's that.
I agree.
So, that was 2 things of movie news. Movie news 3 is next week's movies.
Woo!
Yeah.
We got Animated Robot Week.
Yeah. So that
We're
one's...
doing...
Go for it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'll do it. Fine. It's my show. I'll do whatever I want. We're doing... We're doing Robots, the animated movie. That's... You know what's kind of funny? I'm pretty sure CinemaSins did that last week. Which, we do a lot of movies around the same time they do. Which is kind of funny.
Because we have no correlation at all.
None.
Planned out.
Yeah, it just kind of works out that way. So, yeah, we have Robots, and then we're also doing Big Hero 6. Because it's, animated robot movies. Hooray!
Yeah.
I'm excited for these, honestly.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the rest of this month. I'm looking forward to next month because I've got a rough draft for you.
Nice.
And then we have 3 months after that, which will be fun too. So like, yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the rest of this year, honestly. We'll see how it goes.
I have to see. So yeah, I guess we're done here, everybody. So thanks. Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks for being here. You're muted.
No, I'm not.
Okay, I thought you were talking, but I
No,
saw your
I was
mouth
just,
moving.
I just kind of to
Eh.
myself.
Oh, okay. So yeah, thanks for being here, everybody. You're awesome. You're cool. We appreciate you. Like, follow, subscribe. I don't know.
Talk to you later, bot.
Basically. We will see you later, robot friends, for next week's animated robots. I mean, fellow humans. Till then. Bye.
Later.